Let's look at our REST project. So if you want to call a REST service from a BPM process, you have to define a template that the REST service will be triggered from. So when you define a REST service, there's three things that you need to do. You have your service descriptor project, and you have a request and response schemas that the REST service will use to trigger that service itself. So let's just quickly look at the schema. You can see there I have a task ID schema, and in this case it is just one text field in that schema. I also have a sample task ID, which is a little bit more involved, where I can see the task, I can see the for and the owner. So this schema is going to call a REST service to update my Fire backend system, which I will talk to through a little bit later. So let's look at the server descriptor. First of all, we define the actual name. You define the actual template path where it's going to find that REST service, and then it's going to define the actual details about that REST call, whether it is a get, put, post, or delete method. You will see that I have my URL. The URL is the host and the port, which I configure when I actually deploy my application. And then again, I have my template path, which is the location at that port where it's going to trigger the service. You will see that for my request parameters, I have my request schema, and I have a response, which is in this case the ID of the Fire task that's created in the actual Fire server. Okay, so let's quickly look at my administrator where I define those pre-configured items. So when I click on here, you can see I have a API test resource item, which is a HTTP client item, and in there you can see the actual machine name and the port number. And you can go through here, the timeout you can configure. I just use all the defaults. You can see if there's redirection, if you need proxy, or if you need a basic authentication, you need to do that. But I think in this case, mostly what I used was the actual name of the machine as well as the port, and those will be the host and the port that is defined at that location. Okay, so this is the process in finalized state where I call the update to my Fire process. So you have the ability to select the operation, and it'll actually give you the Fire service based on the template in the Fire project that I've created. I'm not going to change anything there, but you can see that automatically then it selects the method which we configured, as well as the endpoint consumer. You'll also see that I have the input, which basically are data fields that is defined in this business process. Some of them are hard-coded because it's a demonstration. Some of them is real process data. But then I also have the output, which comes back from the web service, which in this case is the task ID, which I use to update certain data fields in my business process.